All right, guys, I'm going to make a bold statement to start this thing off. This might be Tom Cruise's best turn as Ethan Hunt. So Mission Impossible 3 with 3 eyes. You know, the last one was Mission Impossible 2, the number 2. Then this one's got the Roman numeral 3. It's a weird choice for titles, but I digress. Okay, we're going to give you the summary here, the synopsis real quick, and then we're going to go into spoilers. So if you've never seen the film, you can get the summary and the gist of it, and then, go watch the movie. Come back if you've never seen it before. This is a good one. So essentially the story is this. Ethan Hunt is still going on missions. This time around, though, he's trying to live a more quieter life. He's trying to step away from the spy game, and, he's got a girl, and he's trying to live that life, but he keeps getting pulled back in, and he's got to go save somebody who he trained, and that starts to unravel this big mystery about something that's been going on. He's got to go find this bad guy named Owen Davian, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he's got to stop him from getting something known as the Rabbit's Foot. So along the way, he's got a new team he's working with, and together they have to stop this arms dealer / untouchable bad guy from unleashing harm onto the world, and maybe even hitting Ethan a little closer to home than he'd like. So yeah, there's the basic gist of this story. And I think this is a return to form for the Mission Impossible franchise. I would say it's the most serious of the Mission Impossible franchise, but at least here, I think it grounds Ethan Hunt probably the most he's been grounded. And especially after the last movie, where he was flipping and kicking and all that stuff, at least here, he's not doing all that. He's still kind of scrapping and, punching and, maybe some knees to the face every now and then. But so this is a more grounded Ethan that I like, and I think that allows Tom Cruise to actually act. There's a couple scenes, especially from the cold open kind of from the beginning, where it's Philip Seymour Hoffman and Tom Cruise kind of going back and forth, and, Seymour Hoffman's counting down, and Tom Cruise is telling him he doesn't know what he's talking about, and there's just a back and a forth, and the tension, just right from the get-go, is getting you on the edge of your seat, and then boom, credits when the gunshot, sounds off at the end of the countdown, and you're like, what in the world happened? So we flash back after the credits, and we get into things. Tom Cruise is living that normal life. He's living with Michelle Monaghan, his new lady friend named Julia. So they got a nice little existence, but of course, Ethan Hunt can't escape things too much as he gets pulled back into things by Billy Crudup, who's good in this. And essentially, Ethan's got to get back in the field. He's got to retrieve and save one of his agents that he's trained. He puts together a little team, and they go to save her, but obviously, first go around doesn't go so well. They lose her. And I thought all that stuff was great. I think the whole beginning of this film, and I think that it just doesn't really let up at all. It's just one thing after another, and you're just going action scene, and I think it's all done really well. And I think, if anything, Abrams did a really good job in this at providing that good tension that keeps you drawn into the film. Now, at a point, it does kind of let up, and that's why I don't think this is the best of the franchise, but why it starts to keep pushing things in the right direction. They start to find that balance of things, because even though Simon Pegg's in this, and he's only in it for a couple of minutes, when he eventually gets brought into the franchise full time, I think that is a great decision they made from that. So seeing a little bit of him in here is nice, but I'm so excited to see more of him in the next installments. But anyway, you got Ving Rhames, who comes back, who's great in this as well. I think this one might be one of his best performances in the series as well. He does a great job. Then some other crew members he's got along with him. He's got Maggie Q, who plays Zen, Jonathan Rhys Meyers as Declan, and then obviously, Billy Crudup comes in as their handler, John Musgrave, and then Laurence Fishburne plays Theodore Brazel, who's the new chief of the IMF, or the director of the IMF. And he does great in this as well. There's a lot of great acting. This might be one of the better acted Mission Impossible movies. And Philip Seymour Hoffman as a bad guy is probably, I want to say, the best bad guy they've had. He plays this weird thing where a lot of the villains in these films are interesting, but they sometimes don't have a personality. But he plays things where it's he's interesting. He doesn't feel like he's got a personality, but he's so intimidating and so cold and calculating that kind of balances everything out so nicely. I think he crushes his performance in here. I think he's a lot of fun. The late Philip Seymour Hoffman, we miss him so much because his acting is incredible. Just so good in this. I love him every time he's on screen. Kind of gives me the chills on this, but just the way he delivers his lines was so cool, and I just dug it so much. So you pretty much got like a cat and mouse game here. Like it's cool the twists and turns I think the story takes, which I think, you know, was refreshing for this because it's, you know, one minute you think, oh, the crew, you know, our crew's got a handle on everything. Then nope, the bad guy's got a handle on it. Then you're like, oh crap, the bad guy's got a handle on it. Then you're like, oh no, the hero's got a handle on it. And it goes back and forth all the way to the end. And it's that kind of storytelling and that kind of execution that really keeps you interested and invested in this kind of story, to where you don't know if your characters are going to make it out alive. Even though as big a name as Tom Cruise is, there are times you're like, how is Tom Cruise, how is Ethan Hunt going to find his way out of this one? This was one of the first Mission Impossibles where, you know, when I went back, because I remember the first one I saw was number 4, so I came to this one late in the game. This was when I was like, you know, I like this one a lot. It was definitely better than the other two, but you know, there's just so much here that sets the groundwork for what we're about to get. And that gets me excited watching this one. But this does feel like the most grounded, real take on Mission Impossible, which is weird to say. It's almost like they went back to basics with this one. After number 2, you know, J.J. Abrams comes in, kind of gets a clean slate. And what I like is that each of these installments does kind of feel like its very own standalone film where maybe the previous ones happened, maybe they didn't, but you at least, if you're familiar with the characters and you've watched the previous ones, you got a little bit of world building there you can go off from. But if you've never seen one prior to this, any of these films is a good enough jumping off point to just kind of roll into this franchise. And this is no exception to that. And I think J.J. Abrams does a great job at it. You know, it's a one and done for him as a director in this franchise. But he lays a lot of pieces in here, like I said, like a Simon Pegg that gets to come back and do some more later on down the line. And, you know, he'll take over as a producer for the next installment, and we'll see some other actors familiar with J.J. Abrams show up. But I think, you know, he helped to give this franchise something it needed, which was, you know, a good shot in the arm, and pushed it in the trajectory it needs to get to where we are now. And I appreciate the heck out of that. I love a lot of these scenes in this film. You know, I think the whole warehouse scene at the beginning is really good with Cruise leading his team. There's definitely the scene where he's swapping with Philip Seymour Hoffman, which is really good. You know, they get him and then they get him onto the plane. They try intimidating him and it just doesn't work. And that gets to reverse on him when they're transporting him. Then Philip Seymour Hoffman's guys, you know, attack the IMF and all that stuff. It's one crazy thing after the next. And I appreciate this so much, you know. And then, like I said, with Tom Cruise, I think giving him a love interest like Michelle Monaghan's character worked to this film's advantage. There were stakes. It felt a little more personal for Ethan Hunt. Like, other than him just being a good agent and him being a good teammate to his crew, he's got more at stake here to lose if he doesn't complete these missions, or this mission specifically. And I think that does a world for his character. And, you know, going on down the line, while I still think he does a great job, this is I think the most complete character building film he's going to have. At least the stakes, you know, I don't think I felt the stakes for a Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt character like this in a while. And I dig that so much. The one thing I will say is that there is, you know, the cliche of, you know, you can't have both things. You know, it's like the Spider-Man thing where he can't be, you know, with a lady because he's Spider-Man. But it's like Ethan Hunt can't have a lady because he's an IMF agent, which I guess makes sense. But at the same time, it's like here, I feel like you could, to an extent, you could, but they just always find a reason to not give him that love interest for whatever reason, whether that's intentional or not, or they just can't figure out a good way to tell the further stories down the line by him having a woman in his life. I mean, they explain some stuff later on, but I don't know. I just think, you know, why not give him that happy wife? You know, that still adds and gives him stakes as a character, but that's just me. But at the end of the day, look, this film, I'm going to give it a B+. I think it's really good. So much to like about this film. It's so entertaining. It's a definite, you know, action movie, you know, must if you're an action film fan. It's got all that stuff. It's got great spy drama and the tech and gadgets, all that stuff work in this. It's fantastic. Great crew, great ensemble, I think, in this film, and one of the best bad guys of the series with Philip Seymour Hoffman. Totally not one you should skip if you were going back and revisiting these. So yeah, guys, if you could please, you know, leave your comments down below. What's your favorite Tom Cruise performance in the Mission Impossible franchise, and why is it this one? Also, what do you think about the bad guy in this film? Is Philip Seymour Hoffman the best bad guy in the Mission Impossible franchise so far? Let me know, like I said, down in the comments below. If you could please also hit the like button, the subscribe button, the little bell notification to be notified whenever I drop new videos. It would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, so 3 down, 3 to go, and then a new one. So we are just chugging away at these things, guys. And until the next review, I'll be seeing you.